Manchester City defeat Wydad 2-0 in their opening Club World Cup fixture. And I really want to talk about the first half here. Honestly, the second half, I don't think there's too much to really gather from it. I think there were a lot of substitutions. I think the tempo of the game drastically slowed down. I think Wydad ran out of steam. But I think the first 45 minutes, from a tactical point of view, was very, very fascinating. I know it's not what I normally do on these match reactions, but this is really going to be more focused on the first half. I also want to apologize. Last few days, I've been absent. As some of you guys might know, I've been working with The Zone, this Club World Cup, on an episode, or on a show, called The Press, hosted by James Lawrence Alcott. You guys might know him from YouTube. Wonderful YouTuber. We're joined, of course, by Julien Laurent, famous French journalist, and I've been on a few episodes, and I will continue to be so during the group stages. But I'm back. And today we're talking Man City. Now, this was a game I was really interested in, of course, because one of my favorite players in the world has joined the club this season, Rayan Cherki, and he was introduced from the starting lineup from the go, alongside fellow new signing Tijani Reinders. We're going to have to wait to see Aït Nouri as the games kind of come thick and fast. But those two were introduced straight away. And the lineup that Pep went for was very, very interesting, because it was really without a recognized striker, but also without really a recognized defensive midfielder. Tijani Reinders really holding down the fort by himself in midfield. Now, of course, Rico Lewis joining him at times, kind of inverting as he does. Nico O'Reilly kind of coming in as well, too, off the left. But it was really Reinders kind of at the heart of that City midfield. And I thought he played an amazing game. Out of all of City's players today, I think he was arguably their most outstanding one. And I don't want people to look at Reinders' performance today and think, oh, this is what he is, right? A guy who just plays in midfield by himself. He's like the Rodri backup. That's not his game. But I think today, he's actually shown that he does have that to his game as well, too. And some of the passing on display, whether it was the short passing, keeping the tempo, winning the ball back, but also his line-splitting passes, his diagonals from left to right and right to left, I thought were on full array today. And he had this one delightful pass through the lines that Jeremy Doku almost kind of got on the end of it. A nice pass on his left foot. I thought Reinders was really, really impressive today. And out of all of City's players, probably the one I come away from the most really, really impressed by. But he played in midfield, and in front of him, I mean, Foden technically was in midfield next to him, but he really had the full freedom to kind of go where he wanted to. And it was Cherki, Marmoush, Savinho on the right, and Doku on the left, almost playing at times as like a 4-2-4. And I was looking at Twitter today, and a lot of Liverpool fans and a lot of analysts on Twitter were kind of saying, oh, this is very like, this is a staple of Pep Lijnders' philosophy. First of all, in terms of pressing out of possession in a 4-2-4, but even in terms of attacking, really two guys up front that really have the freedom to go where they wanted to. And today, that was technically Cherki and Marmoush. And it was interesting. I think out of possession, if we start with that, it did give City a more structured kind of press from the front. You could kind of see the minute Wydad have a goal kick, City are lined up in that high aggressive 4-2-4. Cherki and Marmoush down the middle, kind of trying to intercept either pass to the two center backs. Savinho and Doku press so high, and then if the goalkeeper tries to go high, the fullbacks are right on that as well too. So that was interesting, because if we're being honest, guys, part of the reason City, I think, struggled so much last year was their defensive structure, was their shape out of possession. And Pep Lijnders has kind of been brought in ideally to improve that. Today, did it work? I think at times it absolutely did. I did think City did win the ball up high, out of possession from Wydad goal kicks a number of times. But also, I think if we're also giving credit to Wydad, they did break that press in the first half a number of times. And in particular, there was one player that really caught my eye. That man, and excuse me if I'm saying his name wrong, was Tembinkosi Lorch. I think Lorch is his last name. Forgive me if I'm butchering his first name. But wow, honestly, I think in terms of Wydad's most impressive player, he was head and shoulders above anybody and really gave problems to City in that first half, whether it was making those runs in behind, stretching the City back forward, holding players up. For a short guy, he's very, very physically built, getting on the end of chances, and probably should have scored for Wydad today, really having a huge chance fall to him, and maybe taking one touch too many to cut back in, allowing City to kind of settle back into their defensive block. But Wydad did threaten, and I think Lorch deserves a special shout out, because obviously we're looking at City when we're talking about elite players, when we're talking about the best players to watch out for. But he really shone today, especially in that first 45 minutes. And I think even in the second half, moving him up front at times, I didn't think was the right move, because he really did cause Rico Lewis problems at times. But that was City out of possession. In possession, we really got the chance to see what I guess we're going to be calling the Fantastic Four, if they're the fourth to kind of play a lot of games this season, which, to be honest, how likely is that with Haaland coming back? That's another question. But those four were really ones that I kept an eye out on today. And I think Doku and Savinho were really impressive today. Now, I think Savinho did lose the ball a few times, and I think his final action was a little frustrating. But I found it so fun to watch how easy they kind of got the better of their fullbacks almost anytime they wanted it to. And Doku in particular, right? Not only just dribbling his fullback, because we know one-on-one, he is maybe the most dangerous winger in the world, but also his work off the ball in terms of making those runs in behind. I think that's something that with Doku, we are still yet to see regularly. He's very much a ball to feet kind of player. Give him the ball, everyone move out the way, and just let him dance on his defender. But today, he was really stretching that Wydad back four dangerously close to getting on the end of chances. And I think if you can kind of add that to Doku's game regularly, you're looking at one of the scariest wingers in Europe. And already, I think he is, right? Doku gets a lot of stick because of his end product. And I understand that 100%. To be an elite player, you have to be somebody that's kind of putting away chances, that's setting them up for your teammates. That is important. But when you also look at what Doku does provide, let's not pretend that nothing in the game matters either. Doku is a player that give him the ball and he can just get your team up the pitch almost at will. And I think if you add that running in behind to his game regularly, wow, Doku will be a real threat for defenders next season, even more so than he already is. And Savinho on the other end, I think those two are going to have massive seasons. And they're going to have to, because when you look at the attacking depth that City have now, whether it's Oscar Bob, whether it's Doku, whether it's Savinho, whether it's Foden, Cherki, Marmoush, Haaland is going to play up front regardless. But look at all the names I'm talking about. Not only is it a lot of depth, it's a lot of different kinds of players. A lot of them offer different things to the City team that maybe the other doesn't. But it's also a lot of high quality depth. There's no guy that's just there to make up the numbers. All six of those players can realistically demand starting minutes for Manchester City. And I think that makes it very interesting because competition breeds success. Who's going to kind of rise the highest out of all of them? I think Doku and Savinho, both of them, really staked a claim to be starting games throughout this tournament, but also probably on match day one of the season, which I know we saw today. I can't remember exactly who it was City have first game. I was really looking at United's and Arsenal's, but I think they staked a really good claim to continue maintaining those positions out wide. I think Bob will have to probably wait another game to get a longer cameo than the one he got today. And I don't think you're going to be seeing Foden or Cherki play out wide there because they were really taking up more central positions. Now, Rayan Cherki was somebody that a lot of people had their eyes on today, of course, making his debut for City. A lot of people looking at me as well, too, as if like every time Cherki plays, I'm the one people have to come to. Like, guys, he's one of my favorite players. I'm not his agent. I'm not his spokesperson. But let's talk about Rayan Cherki a little bit today because he was deployed by Pep Guardiola almost as like a false nine, to be honest with you. At times, Cherki was the highest position player in that City team. And he didn't play his best game today. I think there's no problem in saying that. I think his passing at times was sloppy. I think his final ball wasn't at its crisp best. I think his touch at times was a little loose. I didn't think Cherki played his best game. But to be honest with you, that's not really something that concerns me because everything I just described are usually Cherki's best attributes. His passing, his final ball, his touch, his control. That's the best of Cherki. So him kind of struggling in that regard today isn't a warning sign for me because those are his best attributes. It's very possible to just have an off day, which I think he did today. Now, something that actually surprised me about Cherki was that his out of possession work today. I think on the press, in terms of closing down players, chasing down loose balls, Cherki probably showed me a side to his game that you don't really get to see often from him. I do think out of possession at times, he appears like a traffic cone at times. But today, his work out of possession was highly impressive. A lot of people are going to get onto him every single time he kind of plays like this, which, let's be real, when you get a lot of praise, there's also going to be a lot of pushback as well too. But look, it happens. One thing I don't really understand, which is actually coming from City fans, is complaining over his role today. A lot of people are saying, oh, Pep playing him as a striker, as a false nine. That's not right. That's not how you get the best out of him. Look, playing striker or playing false nine, it doesn't really matter. It's really how you're deployed in that position because playing as a striker is really just your position on a team sheet. How you're utilized, that's really what matters. And Cherki today, if we're being real, guys, had the freedom to kind of go where he wanted to. When he wanted to drop deep, he could do it freely. When he wanted to drift wide, he could do it freely. If he wanted to just kind of come directly to the ball, ask for it, give it right back, and then go wherever he wanted to, he was kind of given that freedom. So I don't really take that kind of complaint. Like, I don't really think it holds much validity. If Cherki was being played up front, back to goal for the entire 90 minutes, don't track back, don't drift out wide, kind of stay in your block, then maybe I can hear it. But I actually think Cherki, the reason he struggled today was whether it's rustiness or whether it's not, I don't know, like not training enough or not getting used to the tempo of the team, or I have no idea. I don't really look at it as like a tactical thing today. And I think he will improve. I think the next game, looking at Rayan Cherki, I do expect a massive improvement in his game. Now, that's not to say Cherki, everything he touched turned to shit today. Cherki had some decent moments, some nice flicks. He did try that one pass in behind to Savinho that was intercepted, but it just wasn't his day. It happens. We move on to the next game. Foden, grabbing a goal, grabbing an assist, and I think he desperately needs it because, let's be real, A year ago, Phil Foden was the man in the Premier League. He was the player of the season. He was deciding games in the run up to the title race. He was outstanding, PFA player of the year. Then the Euros happened, then last season happened, and I don't think there is a bigger regression from an elite level player, which I do believe Foden is, in the entirety of last season. I put Vinicius kind of in that category, but I think Foden, more than anybody, really regressed from the level he reached the previous season. And this year is really, really big because when I look at the City team, right, I look at Doku, I look at Savinho, I look at Cherki, I look at even Marmoush, I look at Rico Lewis, Nick O'Reilly. Guys, Foden is a senior player in that team. He might not be a senior player in terms of age, but in terms of experience, in terms of footballing age, he's a senior player. He's one of the players that's probably played the most minutes under Guardiola since Guardiola came to the club. He understands the system, and it's up to him now to kind of take responsibility, help guys around him, and really start deciding games like we know he can do based on the evidence of 12 months earlier. And I'm sorry, I think excuses for Foden now aren't really valid. It's his time now. It's his time. And I think today's a big step. I don't think, again, it was a vintage Phil Foden game. It's not a game like where he absolutely lit the world on fire, but it was a good Phil Foden game. I think he took his chances well. He got on the end of chances. He found some attacking positions. He was very sharp in possession and ended up deciding the game. And this is a big, big year for Foden now because we know what you could do. We know what you're capable of. That was on full display 2 years ago. But sometimes the worry is, or the issue is, you show someone what you can do and then you never get to that level again. I think in life, I say it all the time, the hardest part isn't getting to the top. It's staying at the top. And now that Foden's kind of given us a taster of what he can be, that's the expectation now. That's the expectation. I think today is a big step forward and kind of returning to that form. This is a big season from Phil Foden. A lot of players getting used to the system. A lot of new players coming to the team. You need to emerge as the guy again. It's a necessity. And I think today was a big step. Now, one player, if I'm being honest, that I'm a little like puzzled by, and it's not because I think he's a bad player. I think he's a very, very talented player. But it's a player that, honestly, I keep trying to think of different combinations, different potential attacks that City could line up with. Because, as I said, they have a lot of different options. They have like almost 2 players in every single position. And they can line up with a lot of them. But every single time I kind of try and think where this guy fits into that attack, I'm often left like, I don't know. I really don't. And that player is Omar Marmoush. I think Omar Marmoush is a terrific player. Seriously. What he did at Frankfurt last year, what he did in spells last season for City, his goal return for a player that joined halfway through the season is very, very good at City. But it's a weird fit, to be honest with you. And I thought that since they signed him, because in my eyes, Omar Marmoush is a player that operates at his best kind of in the spaces around a target man, around a natural goal scorer, a natural striker. He showed that at Frankfurt, playing in and around Ekitike, and he's shown that at times at City, playing in and around Erling Haaland. He kind of just picks up the scraps, almost as a false 9, a second striker. Second striker, that's the perfect way to describe it. The problem is, those roles behind the striker is also where Cherki likes to play, except in a different way. It's where Phil Foden likes to play, except in a different way. Marmoush is not a natural playmaker. He's not really a natural striker either. He's not a guy that really leads the line by himself that well. He has a natural skill set that he excels at, but you have to kind of deploy him a certain way to get the best out of that. He's an exceptional goal scorer. Like in terms of his finishing is quite good. His snapshots are quite good. He just his ball striking in general is quite good. His movement, his instincts, his reading of the game, it's all very good. But he's not really a physical presence. He's not the fastest player in the world in terms of straight sprint. It's not like Doku, for example. He's not the greatest 1v1 player. He is a weird player, to be honest with you. So I don't see him leading the line for City, especially with Haaland not there. But I don't really see him out wide either, because I think there's better wide options than Omar Marmoush. And do I see him week in, week out starting behind Erling Haaland when Cherki and Foden are both there? Look, maybe if he just becomes so undeniable in front of goal that he's scoring every single game that you have to play him there, perhaps. But I really see Marmoush in this City team as just an option. I see him as a guy that comes in and out of the team. He's a decent option to have. Sometimes he starts, sometimes he comes out, which I guess for City fans is absolutely fine. But for him himself to really maximize his quality, I don't really see a clear role. Now, let's see what Guardiola kind of has in store for him. You can never have enough good players to kind of call upon. But his role is, for me, the most peculiar one. And even today, right, Marmoush on the team sheet, again, is listed as the striker. How many times today did we almost see Marmoush kind of drifting into midfield just to kind of try and have an impact on the game? Because he really was kind of getting starved for touches at times in terms of impactful positions. I saw him playing almost left central midfield so many times today. And I'm sorry, that's not where Omar Marmoush is the most threatening. That's not where he's going to find the most impact. So he's the player I'm kind of looking out for out of everybody and trying to see what the plan going forward for him is. He's a top player, I have no doubt about it, but where does he fit? That's my question. Outside of that, it's a very, very straightforward game for City. Outside of the odd chance that Wydad did kind of create for themselves. Wydad, I think, really kind of, I know the scoreboard, or the scoreline, excuse me, is straightforward. 2-0. They could have scored more, true. But I actually think it is a little flattering for City because Wydad did have chances and they did fight and they did defend well at times. They did keep the ball well at times. I was impressed with their performance for a team that's considered the third or fourth best team in Morocco. Very impressive. But City, too much quality. And I look at them as a big favorite for this tournament. If you guys really care about that, I think they're a big favorite for the tournament, alongside Madrid, who are about to play soon. I'm going to watch them as well too, and alongside PSG as well. But I think this tournament for teams like City is really more so about finding a groove, making sure everybody is really comfortable in the system that City are going to go forward with next year, because I truly believe Pep is going to have to do a complete 180 from what the team was last season to accommodate some of the players he's brought in this year, and making sure that City from match day 1 next year are firmly in a title race, because a season like last year is unacceptable. But this is a good start. We'll see how the tournament goes on for them. I'll probably be live I'll probably react to their next game against Juve, maybe against the outline. I think I'm gonna be with the zone again, so probably against Juve. I'll be back. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about Cherki's debut? What do you think about my comments on Omar Marmoush? And how do you see City doing this season? Let me know down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon for my reaction on Real Madrid coming soon. Peace.